Hello everybody, welcome to another playthrough with commentary. This time we're playing the Christmas tournament, the Expert Division. And remember that if you like the videos, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you. Hole number 1 is a par 4. This one I'm playing 10% downhill, and I'm going to use the rock 8 or 9 just because of the ball guide and the accuracy, but you can do the same thing with an extra mile level 6 or higher. I'm using 5 top spin and full right spin, and I'm still going to slightly curl the ball to the right, and I want to land in this area and roll it up into here, but I don't want to roll it too far. I want my short iron for my second shot. With my second shot, I'm going to play at minus 15%, and I'm going to use about 3 backspin and about 2 bars to the right. Alright, so I'm setting up my rock. Going full top spin with the rock and full to the right. And you can see there's a spot in here where you kind of move that sideways, and the ball guide doesn't move at all. So I'm using my rock. I'm 100% of the club, using 10% downhill. So with an 8.4 mile per hour wind, I'm using 9.5 rings of adjustment. We make the adjustment, and I'm pushing it up a little bit. That's really not necessary because I do not want this ball to go too far. I want my short iron close to minimum distance. I do not want to get where I have to use my wedge. So this ball rolls up in good shape. Alright, so now I'm going to set up my wedge shot. I want to see where I'm at on the club. So that's min, max, about 50. So I'm about 20% or so once I pull back. So I'm going to put a couple. I'm going to kind of move this around, trying to find a good place where that ball guide doesn't move a whole lot. So I need a little bit more to the right. And now right there, that ball guide's not moving much. So I'm using my Hornet, and I was at about 20% of max distance. I'm using a minus 15% adjustment for the uphill. 9.1 mile per hour wind means I'm going to have about 5 rings of adjustment for the wind. And I'm not going to keep showing the notebook app. Just wanted to show it a couple of times just to get a feel of what that looks like. So hit a perfect ball, rolls up, and centers the pin. Hole 2 is a par 5. And I'm using either Big Topper, or if you have Thor's Hammer level 6 or 7, then I'm going to use that. And I'm going to use full top spin, left as much as possible. And with the Thor's Hammer, it's full curl to the left. So I went ahead and put about 1 ball. If you're having to use the Big Topper, you may have to go slightly into power. But we want to land it right in here, and we're going to curl it and get it to roll up into this area. And then with my second shot, I'm playing that plus 40% for elevation. And I still need to offset the ball guide. We'll see that when we set it up. And I'm using about 3 backspin and 3 left on that second shot. And so on this count, I have the Thor's Hammer 6. So I'm going to use that. And again, Big Topper will work. I've had to use that on one of my accounts. I just have to go slightly into power to do the same shot. Adjust. And then again with Thor's Hammer, that is full curl to the left, which is right at 1 ball to the left side. Roll out nicely to the middle of the fairway. And then for our second shot, so we're a little over mid club with the sniper, but I'm going to play this about 3 left, about 3 backspin, a little bit more than that. I'm looking for a place where, again, the ball guide doesn't move much. And again, I'm playing this 40%, so you'll see 7.7 with the sniper. And I'm going considerably more than that, but I still haven't gone quite enough. So we hit a perfect ball. And this still goes slightly on the left side. So may try 40, 45. Hole 3 is a par 3, and I'm using a quarterback rough bump on this shot. I want it to land right at the end of that rough. So I'm playing about 15% extra for the wind, for the elevation. And I'm playing it about mid-club with my quarterback. And I'm going to get it in that spot and then just kind of adjust to make sure the ball guide goes right at the hole. I'm using about 3 bars of backspin and about 3 bars to the right. And then when we do this, when we pull this into that wind and adjust for the wind, we're going to a higher elevation. So the ball is going to carry further. So that's why we're pulling the guide back about 1.5 rings. So we're going to get it set here, get it adjusted with the ball guide right at the hole, and then I'm going to pull back 1.5 rings, and then I'm going to adjust for the wind. And camera angle is one of the most difficult things on this hole. So I've got the ball in the way, so I'm having to move that just slightly so I can see that ball guide. I want to make sure that we get right there at the cup. All right, so now I've got it lined up. I want to make sure the ball guide is straight. And I pulled it back about 1 ring. I want to pull it back a little bit more than that. And I was initially making this a 20% adjustment for the wind, but you'll see here I end up over adjusting. So I hit that ball perfect, and it comes down just a little bit left of where I was aiming and rolls out left. So I've changed that to a 15% adjustment for the wind now instead of 20. And hole 4 is a par 4. And once again, we're either going to use Big Topper or Thor's Hammer if you have it at level 6 or higher. The same thing goes with this. If you're using the Big Topper, you may have to go slightly into power. That's why I choose to use the Thor's Hammer. Again, if it's 6 or higher. We're going to land in this area. So we're going to go about 4 to the right and then top spin as much as possible. And we're going to use about 1/4 of a ball of curl to the right. So when you line it up, we're going to be just outside of the guide that's around the ball. And then with the second shot, and the first one, there's no adjustments for elevation. Second shot, we're playing this plus 5% for elevation. And we're going to be in a short iron. And I'm going to play this about 3 left and about 2 backspin on the second shot. So about 4 to the right, and with Thor's Hammer 6, that is full top spin. And I want this ball guide to be close to the center right here, because we want to be able to curl it back and have room for that to land and then roll to the right. So I'm adjusting this one sideways, and what I'm doing is I'm looking at the spot where the ring was, and I'm adjusting to that spot on the line in the rough. So about 1/4 of a ball, that's right outside the ball guide. And I hit that one great. So you'll see when this ball lands, I'm a little too close to the rough. I'd like to be a little bit more out in the center, but it was close enough that it's going to roll out. Typically, I'm a little bit closer to that rough than I was on that shot just because of the great ball. And then we're going to set up. And again, my short iron, I'm going to use the best accuracy with the best ball guide. And Kingfisher 7, when you get there, that is the one to use. Otherwise, it's a Hornet. So I've got the end of that ball guide lined up right at the cup. the adjustment for the wind. And then if we hit a perfect ball, this is going to go in the hole. Hit perfect. Holds right up the center of the pin. Hole 5 is a par 3. And I'm playing this one with a Guardian using full backspin. I'm going to play at about 25% for elevation and playing my Guardian at mid club distance. And when we land, we want the ball guide to be offset, as that wind will push it, push the ball guide once it lands. And I haven't found just a great landing spot. So this Guardian shot is about as safe as I can get. Now you see there I did use one bar to the right. I'm not going to do that just because of that wind left to right. It's going to push the ball to the right as it is. So I still want to offset about where I had that ball guide. So adjust. So plus 25% mid club. We hit this ball perfect, and it's going to land right where we were looking at, but it jumps. That left to right wind just pushes the ball guide over a little bit extra. And again, on this hole, I haven't found a great landing spot, so that Guardian is very safe. I can get extremely close, and before the weekend, I hope to have that dialed in and make that shot a few times. Hole 6 is a par 5, and this one I'm going to play with an Apocalypse and a Kingmaker, playing about 10% extra for elevation, and we're going to play 4 topspin and 4 to the right. You can see my circle here. This is where I'm going to land that. So I'm going to land it in here, and I want it to curl back out to the right. So I'm going to use just a slight curl to the right and try to get it up in this area. And then with my second shot, I'm going to use a sniper. I'm going to take that full right. I'm going to use about 2.5 bars of backspin, and I'm going to use the full curl to the right. So from here, I'm landing it in this area and curling it back towards the hole. All right, and you'll also see that where the ball guide lands, I can't see, it's landing in the rough, but the wind is going to carry that over. So what I'm going to do is just look at my adjustment. So just a couple of extra rings and then a slight curl to the right. So 4 top, 4 right. And this ball's going to roll down pretty close to the end of this little part of the fairway. All right, and then with my second shot, I'm using the sniper. I'm at full distance. So right, and I use 2 bars of backspin. I'm going to put just a little bit more on that because when I've hit this shot perfect, it does go across. So I'm going to adjust for this wind, and I'm adjusting a little bit extra here just because of the curl. It's going to carry a little bit more. And I do want to use full curl on the sniper. I didn't quite use full curl, and I got great left on that shot. So it ends up just a little bit on the high side. Otherwise, we would have gone down for a short putt. And then I'm not going to show a lot of wedge shots, but this is just typically the way I do it. So a lot of top spin, just a slight offset. I'm probably not even at 10% of the max club there. Just roll that down to the cup. All right, hole 7 is our last par 3. And for this shot, we have a tailwind. I'm going to land with my sniper in this area. I'm going to play this 30% extra for elevation. And I'm going to play it at full club length for the sniper. So with this, I'm going to play the full backspin minus 1 bar. And then I'm definitely going to offset this ball guide. So when you see this lined up, the ball guide is going to be well short of where the cup actually is. So all backspin but 1. I don't want any side spin on this. And if I can get this lined up directly at the cup, that's what I'm looking at, but with a definite offset. And 30% extra. So with a 9.1 wind, I'm going to have to adjust this a couple of times. And let me go ahead and pause that for a second. What I was looking at, back that up a little bit more. So after I did the first adjustment, I'm looking at this spot because I can't see the rings. So when I'm taking this back 5 more rings, I'm looking at this spot where the ball guide is, right in the center of it. So I'm going to pull that back 5 rings to this spot, again, because I can't see what's going on with my adjustment. Hit that perfect, but again, since there's so much ball guide offset, just miss slightly to the left. Hole 8 is a par 4, and on this one I'm being fairly aggressive. I'm going to use the big topper. I want it to land in this spot. I want to try to roll this ball up to the end here. If I can get it up in this area, it will be a short iron on down to the hole. So what I'm going to do is use full top spin with the big topper, 1 to the left, and then I'm going to use about a half a ball of curl to the right. That ball just wants to go left. And if you do catch the rough or the sand, it's still a pretty easy shot down, very easy birdie, even if you catch those. But it makes the eagle a whole lot tougher. With the second shot, because of the elevation, we're playing that plus 30%, hopefully with a short iron, and use about 2 backspin, about 4 or so to the right. So just to get that ball with the wind and coming straight at the hole. And we do want the ball guide right at the cup on this second shot. We do not want offset on this shot, on this approach. All right, I'll go ahead and show you what my opponent does. He's using a quarterback, and we can't see his spin adjustments, but he's playing this over on the left-hand side and hits a real good shot, rolls up towards the end of that left side of the fairway. But if you play from over here, it's always going to be a long iron shot from the left side. So again, I'm going to try to get this up on the right-hand side and full top, a little over 1 to the left. You can see if I push that forward a little bit, it kind of, the bounce gets crazy, so don't get too close to that rough. And here I'm using about a half a ball of curl to the right. And unfortunately, I catch a great ball to the right. So this just barely catches the rough, still rolls out in the fairway, but it means it's going to be a long iron shot instead of a short iron. So you can see there's a lot of fairway left up in front of me. You can see where I'm at back here. So you can see where he's at. It's always going to be a long iron shot if you go on that left side. And I do want to go ahead and show his shot again on this shot, because you'll notice when he gets this lined up, he is offsetting the ball guide. So he's just slightly short and left of the cup, which you would think with that wind that if you're going to offset, he offset it just right. But for some reason, even though this hole is so far downhill, you do not need ball guide offset on this one. So he had it just short and just to the left. And you'll see it's a perfect ball. And it's going to roll down just short and just left. So if he'd have put that ball guide up to the cup, he would have got the eagle on that one. So it is very makeable from the left side. I just want a short iron instead of a long iron. So I've got the same kind of thing here, about mid club. So since I'm a little further to the right, I'm using full right and a couple of backspin. And I'm not going to offset my ball guide. I've got it right up to the cup. I'll adjust this for the wind. Again, that's plus 30% because of the elevation. And once again, I hit a great ball. So it was great right, and this ball rolls down just on the right-hand side. So perfect ball that would have been in. And this course ends up with a par 5. So hole 9, we're going to play with the Apocalypse and a Kingmaker. We're going to play about 5% for elevation on the first shot. And we want to go about 5.5 on the top spin. And I'm going to use 2 bars to the right. And then I'm going to get about a half a ball curl to the left. So just the way this shot is lined up, I want to kind of curl the ball in the air to the left, but then I want the spin to come back a little bit to the right. So that's the reason for that. Now, when we adjust this, we are going to be at max distance, and the wind, we're going to pull backwards. That we have a little bit of tailwind. So once I adjust for the wind, I'm going to push it forward about 3 rings just so I can get closer to this spot that I'm looking at landing in. And then my second shot, I'm using a sniper. This one I'm playing plus 15% for elevation. And I'm going to use about 5 bars to the right and about 3 bars of backspin. So I'm going to again try to find that place where the ball guide isn't jumpy and try to get it lined up in that spot. So you'll see, even with Apocalypse 6, I'm well short of that sand trap. So I'm doing the 2 to the right, 5.5 to the top spin. So I'm in power, but that wind is a headwind. So when I adjust for the wind, I'm pulling away from the hole. So now I can take this and push it. I want to get that ball guide straight. I'm pushing it about 3 bars, 3 rings forward. So, and then about a quarter ball to the left of curl. Land a little closer to that rough. And then when the ball starts slowing down, it's kind of rolling back to the right, because I don't want to flirt with that rough on the left side. And then we set up our second shot, figure out what percentage, so just under mid club. And I'm going to take that about 3 bars to the backspin, and it's going to be a little bit more than that. So see that ball guide's kind of jumpy. I'm looking for that spot where the ball guide doesn't move a whole lot. So that's the spot, so it's going to be a little bit more side spin. In this case, full side spin with the Kingmaker. Line that up, adjust for the wind. The perfect shot. Just miss it on the left side. So probably could use just, we did 15% extra for the elevation. Probably could go about 20% extra on that shot. Okay, so that's my expert level playthrough for the Christmas Tournament 2019. And remember, if you enjoyed the videos, hit like and hit subscribe, and make sure you share these with your clan and let your friends know about these videos. Appreciate it. Good luck in the tournament, and happy clashing.